Vanakkam, Vandanam, Suswagatam, Namaste, Namaskar, and hi. Today is a very interesting episode because we are going to talk about one of the most important topics of the season. We are all fighting for our lives. We are all fighting for the lives of our loved ones. In midst of all of this, there is one segment uh, that has missed out a lot. We are going to talk about COVID orphans. Um, which I think is also a very important subject to talk about for us to realize that uh, there are a lot of us who have not been taken care of, and maybe it is time to wake up and start working towards it, even if it doesn't concern you directly. I have with me today Mr. Rahul Reddy, who is the founder and CEO of Octopus Foundation, which is in Hyderabad. They also work with a lot of other foundations across India, and I have personally known the kind of rescues that they have done. So happy to have Mr. Rahul. Hey, so hi, Rahul. Thank you so much for being here. Like we mentioned, we have with us Rahul Reddy, who is not just a gentleman, but has been a angel for many, right? His Octospace Foundation does a lot of work. I'm going to let him talk more about what he does, how he does, and the magic that he has. Hi, Rahul.
Hi Soundarya, how have you been?
I'm fine, thank you. It's been so long since we have spoken, and I think there couldn't be a better opportunity than this when we are talking about uh, the most important subject as of now, right? Yes, there is so
Right,
much
right.
of distress around us, there is so much of negativity and everything around us. We personally, we are all going through, right? Every other
Right.
person is going through something or the other. But I am concerned about something called as COVID orphans. First of all, I don't like the word orphans, but the term actually brings goosebumps and makes me get scared of what is going to be the future. We are going to talk about the COVID and the effects of the orphans that we have in our society, in our community. Uh, Before that, please introduce us to your foundation, the kind of angelic work that you guys are doing, and we will move forward with something that is of very, very importance on how to save our COVID orphans. We know it, but we don't know how to act on it. That is what we are going to focus today.
Right, right. So, the organization that we run, Soundarya, is called as Octopus Foundation. It's a part of the larger Octopus Group, which is into many businesses. April, we turned 15. We completed 15. We are running our 16th year in business right now. So, Octopus Foundation was established with a single point goal to secure the future of this country. And when I say secure the future of this country, my grandfather always used to say कि the future generations are the only people who can completely design a future of the country. So that is the exact reason why I started this foundation, saying that I want to focus on the children, on the children who are underprivileged, the children who do not have um, parents, who do not have education, who do not have any guidance in their life, right? So working with old age is great. Old age homes are great. Uh, I will be very, very direct and tell you that I would not want to work on an old age home project, because looking back at your past is irrelevant according to me. I think we need to focus on the future. Okay. But is there a way to handle both? Yes, that will be great. But right now, with the limited resources, we are not able to do enough justice for just children or animals. So forget about old people. So our entire focus is on underprivileged children, children who are also not, I don't like the word, but the word is street children, right? The street children basically are the ones who are either orphaned, or they are runaways from home, or they don't know who their parents are. Multiple reasons, Saundarya. But no point getting into that. But currently, the stats say that we have about 80 million orphans. Yeah, yeah.
If you just say 80 million often, just like my camera is moving right now, my eyes also opened up.
Yes. And what is going to happen after COVID is what our focus of this conversation is. But I have to tell you, before COVID itself, the scene was very dingy, right? Very difficult to handle. I've personally been working with human trafficking rescues for over 10 years now. I think since I was 25, I started working on them, and it's heartbreaking to see how many kids get trafficked every day from a small little place in India, be it Hyderabad, be it Kolkata, be it small little villages and places. So the stat is that every 5 minutes one child is being trafficked. So that's the stat, and it's really scary, the whole situation. Uh, there are kids who are kidnapped. There are kids who are stolen. There are kids who are whose parents are killed for the trafficking, and there are kids who are sold also. So the permutations and combinations are too many. But having said that, COVID is bringing a new problem. Uh, like we didn't have enough problems, COVID is bringing something called as the COVID orphan, which is basically going to be that child who has lost their parent or parents during COVID. We are talking about the millions of people who are losing their lives in COVID, but in this death rate, there are very few kids. But the impact of kids due to this death is humongous, right? The person dying is probably a father, a mother, an aunt, an uncle, a grandfather, and the list goes on. And when we are talking children, no, we are talking something under 12, which is the most vulnerable age, Soundarya. Because after 12, I think there is a decent level of maturity that a kid will have to take care of himself, safeguard himself, and maybe be in a slightly better position of, in this jungle, right? In this jungle, it will be easier for them to maneuver. But under 12, I think they are the most difficult to de-traumatize, right? We work on this whole program. When we bring children from the street, it takes us close to a year to re-traumatize them from whatever they've gone through, whatever they've seen, the abuse that they've seen, the indifference that they've seen, the lack of love and attention that they've seen for years. So it becomes very difficult. Okay, so many mental health issues, so many other health related issues, uh, be it STDs, be so many. I think the list is just endless. But what is going to happen after COVID is that this number of COVID orphans is going to really triple and quadruple, only because you will realize the entire data only after 1-2 years of that entire pandemic closing, right? So if 2020 and 2021 are the peak, we are talking 2022, 2023, that you will not understand anything. Okay, what is happening in this country? And by this time, 50% or more of these kids would have been trafficked already.
You are bringing tears with these kind of stories. And I do agree large part of your story, because we are having 32, 35, say 40 years of people who are dying in this situation. And stories are disturbing, right? And I want to also clarify to our audience that it is not the children from us or people who are educated and stuff like that. Imagine slums.
We
Imagine,
are the minority, Soundarya. We are
yeah,
the minority.
exactly.
It's not the
Right.
minority.
We are in a very safe zone. We are talking about ICUs, oxygen, and so many things that are okay, which is very much needed. But it is important, but imagine those people. I'm sure there are hundreds of children who are sitting at home who are being abused by their own kith and kin, by their own family members. That is what we are talking about. Now I want to move to the other important subject here, which is about one second, which is about how do you end up finding these children? Uh, w-
So
how are
as
they being
as
trafficked?
as filmy as it sounds, I think the most organized criminal group in this world is the human trafficking group. They are the most organized. They have ears, they have eyes, they have people everywhere. They will never miss an update about a kid that is available for a grab. I don't know if you know the stats, but the world's biggest illegal industry is human trafficking, funded fully by black money, mafia. I hear there are a lot of other people also involved who are up there sitting somewhere. But it is the most organized activity that I have seen in my life. I there is there is at least some room for other criminals to make mistakes. These guys don't make mistakes. These guys don't make mistakes. So what to counter that, what the rescuers have been doing, and I've been doing a very small little contribution to what human trafficking is happening in India and Hyderabad. I know people who have been dedicating their lives to this, and they have also there are people who have lost their lives, so many of them, and they will probably never see the day of light. Their names will never see the day of light because they operated in the shadows and they were also nabbed in the shadows, right? It's literally this dangerous, Soundarya, that a volunteer group needs to have a licensed gun. So now imagine what it is. We work with the police, we work with the authorities, we work with a lot of people, but it's not enough because they are too many in number and too smart. So answering your first question, how do we find these people? To counter these organized criminals, we have also created a network which is extremely organized. So we have eyes and ears in every group. We try to find all the updates. So if they are finding updates from our world, we get updates from their world. So we sort of it's like a double agent thing. We work with a lot of people who get us the information on who's being kidnapped, where are they being taken, what are they being sold for, all these things. So it's slightly different now, but 5 years back it was much easier to grab a kid and to sell a kid. It was much easier. Now I think it's slightly more difficult. So it's getting even more complicated. Like the biggest source of sending kids out of this country was shipping containers. But since technology has taken over shipping industry and logistics, it's become a little difficult. So there are many different ways, very, very horrible ways, like packing the kids in fish baskets, sometimes transporting them as dead bodies. There's too many. There's just too many that you have to mention. So that's how we find the resources. And when we know that there is some human trafficking activity happening, then we do a raid. We try to rescue people. We have done close to 80 to 100 raids, I think, in the last 2-3 years itself. And the
I
average
remember when we met last, that is exactly when you had actually rescued a girl. I
yes,
remember,
yes,
yeah.
just
You
yeah,
just were
yeah,
just back from that.
yes, 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 literally. So we've rescued about a couple of hundred kids in the last few years. And how they get kidnapped, was that the second part of your question?
Yes.
It's very, very disheartening to say that
Let me
mostly
start
it's
with the father themselves selling the child.
yes, but that's not even really the problem area. The problem area is hospital beds, delivery beds, say people pick up infants, days old. So that's where it starts. And
Okay.
the
We are also talking about so many positive children who don't have parents who are vaccinated. Okay.
so we are talking about infants, basically days old babies being kidnapped from hospitals, and the accomplices are nurses and compounders and doctors from these little parts of the country that we don't know. There are places in this country where they say, you're not allowed into the delivery room, and then they do the delivery and they give them a dead kid and say, okay, your kid was dead, and that kid had been sold for a few lakhs rupees already. So it starts from there. I don't know where to really put a finger to. From own relatives selling their kids, from father mother selling kids, to kids being kidnapped. Orphans basically have nobody to ask around, so they are nabbed out of the blue.
Do
And
you have
mostly
any
set
case that you recently have handled during the COVID? If you can mention,
uh,
obviously anonymous.
COVID in Hyderabad. I think the activity has been very less.
Okay.
But there was a case in Nagpur that we dealt with. One of our volunteers was in Nagpur and they dealt with. It was a re-kidnapping. So we rescued one girl and that girl got re-kidnapped because they trace their children very, because they are a lot of profit, right? They're a lot of profit. A child, I don't want to discuss what a child is sold at in the black market of the world, but it's a very huge amount. Okay. And it could be a guy or a girl or any age, any shape, size, doesn't matter. Just kids are extremely costly on the market, right? So I, I I know people exchange gold for kids. So that's how it is. Yes. So
We are talking so much about technology, right? We are this, we are that, we are so many achievers, etc., right? Hasn't this helped anyway?
we tried something like this. We in 2018, Octospaces, which is our tech incubator, basically came up with this idea along with one of our partners, Twinkle Foundation, to create a non-invasive technology, wearable technology that can track. But looks like they know more than us. They found out, they got rid of these things. So pretty much they're at least 100 times stronger than we are, 100 times smarter than we are, and their resources are 100 or 1,000 times stronger than what we have. If we are operating with, let's say, 900 volunteers across the country, they are operating with, I think, 9 to 10 lakh people in every city. So technology has not really helped, but I am looking really hopefully at technology to solve a lot of problems.
Right.
But where is the investment? Where is the money coming from? Who's going to make this technology is the question.
Okay.
Because they are orphans. Nobody cares about orphans.
Absolutely. When you are saying they're orphans, right? I really get that tone. I remember you mentioned that there is no list of orphans in India. Is it so?
There is no list. There's no list.
Even pets have
Actually, there is.
even pets have a register, right?
Pets are clipped. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Pets are clipped. Now, Bangalore has started collars
Yeah.
which are reflective, and also they have a tracking device.
Yes. Yes.
Unfortunately, often we don't. And you know what? We don't have a record of how many kids are born in this country. There is a rough estimate that 21 kids are born every 5 minutes, but there is no record. There is no single record saying how many kids are born. Even if there is a record, there's a record of somebody who is probably in the city or in a rural area. What about somebody who's in the remote parts of Odisha? What about somebody who's in remote parts of Kutch? What about the people in Nagaland? We don't have any data.
So basically, any census that we take of population isn't good.
it's not only not good, it's inaccurate and largely created wrongly by estimation,
Okay.
assumption, really.
Okay.
I'm assuming that so many kids are born. Where is the data?
Okay.
Every kid born in USA has a registration, even if it is a kid born in the outskirts of the border, a Mexican immigrant's kid also, if he is born in America, they have a registry. We don't have it.
Okay. Right now, we are so busy firefighting for our own lives, ICUs and oxygen, right? Is there any way that we can, as a community, help? Because I'm asking this question because recently, not just one WhatsApp group, but there have been so many WhatsApp groups which were discussing about adopting a child. Not one case, but many cases that came in. I mean, this is like in Tamil we say, right? Elam potutrukanga. It's like, trying to find, I mean, the thought might be noble, but is this the right way? What do we do?
I'll tell you a data point. Human trafficking and kidnapping has quadrupled in the last 2 years because everybody is busy living their own life in isolation. While we are sitting in our AC rooms and extremely cozy households, there are kids out there being abused, being killed, being sold on a every minute basis. Pehle, there was a chance that they would be scared of police or they would be scared of government, but everybody is at COVID duty now. COVID is the biggest duty. So how many kids are being kidnapped? How many kids are being sold? Is our border safe? Are we have the biggest border in the world, right? Who's protecting it? Where are the kids going from? I have had cases of kids walking underground from one border to another for 60 days. So through India to Tajikistan, Pakistan, Afghanistan, so many other countries and whatnot. Like rats. Do you remember mice? Like rats. Yes. There's no food. There's no water. They're just asked to
just walk.
Yes. If somebody dies, you push the body away and you walk ahead. That's how they work.
So to an extent, whatever we see in the movie is not exaggeration.
It's not. It's
even
not.
worse.
It's not. In fact, what movie shows is very censored. It's what probably your kid and my parents can watch, but it's not like that. It's even more horrible. It's what they are done. There are cases where their stomachs are cut open and drugs are put in and sewed back, and then they are used to transport drugs across borders because their kids, they'll be like, jao types, even if they're caught, but mostly they're not caught.
Okay.
So many things, I think, Saundarya, this is like, but the current crisis is the generation of COVID orphans that we are going to have, who are going to basically find it extremely traumatizing, find it extremely difficult to cope up with the world.
Okay.
Because everybody will, one or the other way, show them that how inadequate they are, what they don't have in the world. And that's not going to go down well on them.
Okay.
And with an economic crisis which is going to hit us like a tsunami very soon.
Yes, very soon.
We are set out to be one of the most vulnerable economies, one of the most vulnerable countries in the world right now. And this is when our enemies will hit. This is when the wars will start. This is when water crisis, which is still brewing. A lot of people are not seeing it, but the next war is going to be about water. And people are going to fight about water. So yeah, after all, Hollywood films are not that wrong, I think.
Yeah, I think they made a mistake. Instead of 2012, they actually wanted to make 21, but then they did a mistake.
Yes, I think yes.
Typo error.
I think yes.
Yeah. So as a community, right, is there something that we can do other than just sitting at home? Is there something that we can do? And what do we do if we find somebody who is orphaned by this situation? What is the first action that somebody needs to take?
One, you will never find an orphan because they will find it before you. Two, if you find one, that means it's a very safe space already. So you don't need to be worried there because it is somebody from your circle. So somebody will be ready to help, or some relative or something will be taken care of. What you need to keep an eye out on is a kid who basically is not begging, is not sold, who's loitering. Now that person, that kid might be a runaway, that kid might be a rescue, that kid might be anything. So if you find that kid, you immediately contact a local NGO, Twinkle Foundation if you need, because Twinkle Foundation is doing a lot of work around India, or Octopus Foundation, us, or there's so many organizations. Organization ki to kami nahi hai. But what we can do as a community is really pray, because there's nothing we can do as a community. There is a model that we had proposed to the government, where we said everybody who is in the pension age, above 55 and 60 years old, and they are these people who are lonely because their children have left them, and they are left back here. And so instead of putting them in old age homes and creating another liability to this already existing crisis, I said if we can create sustainable houses for these old people and give each senior citizen one orphan to take care of, along with one stray dog or one stray animal. So you create a sustainable community where everybody has to work, give them farmland, let them farm, let them make their own vegetables, sell the extra that they have. But if they can just feed themselves and the houses are already taken care of, then what do you need the money for? Free education is anywhere there. Government schools give you free education. Then there
Absolutely.
are organizations like us who are ready to upskill children if needed. So we work with Sainik School, Korkonda's NGO, and we do a lot of upskilling there. We teach children how to be carpenters, how to be mechanics, how to probably become kite makers. One of the boy got selected in the volleyball state championship team, and one of the girl got a job in I think Infosys as a customer care executive. So that happens all the time, and that's what we need to do. We need to bring up more aware. Our kids need to know, be more aware. I think I don't have hopes on our parents, because it'll take a lot of time to for them to unlearn so much that they've already learned. Ki our biological kid is not our kid. There's different caste that he comes from, different creed that he comes from, race, religion, so many things that they have to unlearn. So the only thing we can do is, I think we can learn, we can teach our kids, the future generations, to be smarter, to be more aware, to be more helpful to everybody. And I think that is the only way our society can help, man. Awareness. I think if they can be aware, if they can be more aware, if the child is begging on the street, how can you let that happen? Why isn't anybody getting down from the car and checking why the kid is begging, or why a mother who doesn't look like the mother of that baby in her hand is begging, showing this girl as a girl or guy as a prop. There is a rate for babies to be hired. So that's what we need to do, and we have to stop supporting these people by giving the money on road and buying stuff on road. All these things have to stop, because you don't know that you are actually fueling a very large system, and the system is controlled by mafia, and they make crores of rupees on a daily basis just by begging and selling things.
Even
And then
selling things, because a lot of people think buying from the roadside, the ones who are in the traffic signal, it's still good deed.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. You should see where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
People who have
we
shops,
feel really bad for them, and then we end up giving them some alms. And
it doesn't go to them. It goes to the people who are controlling them.
all right.
You unknowingly, you are fueling an entire system which is working against our society.
Awesome. So I think we have spoken of most important subjects where we are talking about, what is the situation like, how are these people actually the victims, what happens to these people, and who are the organizations that we can reach out to. I'm sure in the description I'll give you more names that as a message to my audience here. Rahul, we are almost at the end of the conversation. I want to know what is the most scariest part of the post-pandemic world?
The mental health wave.
Now, okay, that silence was really eerie, but mental health is the scariest part.
Yes, the mental health wave is the scariest part, Soundarya, because everything else has a solution. The only thing that defies all solutions is mental health. If there are 100 kids who don't have enough, we can provide. If there are
Okay.
100 kids being kidnapped, we can provide.
Okay.
If there are abuse, if there is any sort of, there is a solution to all of this. If a generation of kids is traumatized, what is the solution of it?
Generation of kids being traumatized. I'm a
Yes,
mother of
that's
two.
what.
I can't imagine what they must be going through.
Exactly, because they have not seen sunlight. They don't know how playing outside feels like. They will never be able to touch their friends without thinking twice. And this is a horrible thing to do to kids. You remember how we grew up, right?
Yes.
We used to go to any house. We used to do anything. Kuch bhi kha lete the, kuch bhi karte the. Now that's the reason why most of us have sound mental health. Because we are immune to most of these things. We have learned these things. There is no social interaction now. Any parent, you also including, will not be able to let the children out and play without having worry in their mind post-pandemic, because you don't know what is going to come next.
Yes.
Because coronavirus was the first thing that came out. You don't know what it is, and fear is such a. So I keep telling, it's a Telugu proverb. It says, భయమే ప్రపంచంలో అన్నిటికన్నా పెద్ద రోగం, which means the biggest disease in the world is fear.
Absolutely.
So all these children who are going to be afraid, all these parents who are going to be afraid, all these societally, the fear, the paranoia that we have created, this is going to take a ripple effect for at least 100 years. And so that is the most scariest part for me for post-pandemic, not economic crisis, not children being kidnapped, not all these things. All of them can be stopped. There is a solution to it. If the right government, if the right things happen, we can do. What will you do about a mental health situation? You remember what happened to all the countries who were devastated after 1945-47, after the Second World War, or how Israeli kids are today, because they've just seen only war. They've just seen war. They've seen nothing. They only know about killing or living. Now that is where we are at. India is at that level where I hear people are fighting for oxygen cylinders. I hear people are killing each other for oxygen beds, and I hear that is happening. And that is scaring me mostly about where are we heading, right? Where is humanity heading? What are we going to look at the world differently? So that is my biggest fear.
On that note, I think I have had a very, very, very different, and my heart is heavy after listening to all of this. I don't have an ending note for this, but I really hope and pray that there are lives saved, there are children saved by many people like you, by the society, and by the communities that we live. That's all my hope is. And praying that mental health disturbance is not to the extent that we think it is going to be, and we are able to find solutions for ourselves. Is there one tip that you want to give to the people who are living through this pandemic?
Make yourself more aware, educate yourself more, and stay afloat. Be positive. That's your only goal. There's nothing else you can do about it, right? You just have to survive. one word. If you survive, you will be useful. If you don't survive, you are useless. So survive.
Thank you so much, Rahul, for taking time out. I know you have busy schedule, juggling multiple stuff. Thank you so much for your time, and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Saundarya.
Hey, don't leave. Just one more minute. Before we leave, here are some information that I had for you. These are some forwards and some information from the governments which I have collated for you, in addition to the details of Twinkle Foundation and Octopus Foundation, about whom I have given in the description. Thank you so much, and Jai Hind again.